The notorious Tinker Rat, known as Ikit Claw, focuses his diabolical pursuits on building the most heinous killing contraptions possible. And today, guys, we're here with a showdown between the Skaven, who shall be led by none other than Ikit Claw. He's going to be facing off against Norsca, who's going to be helmed by Throg, the Troll King. So as far as the build goes, it's kind of similar to my regular Skaven build against Norsca, with the exception of the Rattling Gunners. So normally I like these Jezzails. I feel like you get a little bit more value at a range. You know, obviously they have much more range. Rattling Gunners, I think, are at 140, 145, and the Jezzails, you know, are up over 300. So they're going to be able to get that value before the battle starts. Granted, Rattling Gunners do have some really nice mechanics for defensive geometry. So if you look here, they do, of course, have the suppression mechanic, which isn't bad against Norsca, who's going to be trying to get around your flanks with dogs and werewolves and all sorts of spooky threats. So I'm going to be giving the Rattling Gunners a try here in this matchup, and we're going to see how they do. So in total, I do have two of these bad boys. One of them is going to be the Teethbreakers Rattling Gun ROR, and these guys basically just have better stats, and they do also have the concealment bomb, so they can go invisible, sneak away, get in a better firing position, and then get back into the battle. So they're a pretty cool looking unit here. We'll see how they do. And I do also have another group of Rattling Guns here, but aside from that, the front line is going to be Skaven Slaves, the secondary line is going to be Clan Rats, and the third line, the third battle line here, is going to be two groups of the Storm Vermin. So much like Dwarves, if you're going to be going with a gun line, or any sort of a range-centric faction, it's really good to have the layers of the onion. So you can see here we do, of course, have the Clan Rats, Skaven Slaves in the front, and Storm Vermin in the back. So the Storm Vermin are pretty good in this matchup. They have high armor by Skaven standards, so they do have 90 armor, and Norsca tends to bring a lot of like swarming Marauders and Berserkers and things that don't really have the best armor-piercing values, because on paper, think about it, you're playing Norsca, why would you bring Marauder champions with great weapons or great weapons in general when most of the Skaven infantry roster is very lightly armored, with the exception of Storm Vermin? So that's why mixing in a couple of these guys can really just be an ace in your army. They're going to be able to beat down Berserkers, or at least endure and then outlast them, and also do very well against Marauders. So I have two of those guys, a couple groups of Rat Ogres in the back, because if you try and defend your backline just with infantry, even like Storm Vermin with halberds, high mass units like Trolls and Throg and Werewolves are simply going to be able to push through them and get on top of the targets they want to get on, which, yes, you can deal with it, you can swarm them, but even still, you're going to be taking a lot of unnecessary damage. As such, we do have two groups of the Rat Ogres here, and they're going to be getting in there with their claw arms and their warpstone drills and just having a good time. We do also have a Hell Pit Abomination, so this is something that you guys probably saw a couple days ago in replay I played against Falcon, where I didn't bring the Hell Pit. I tried to go a little bit wider with Rat Ogres and things like that, and I was really missing the Hell Pit in the matchup. So I think it's going to be pretty clutch here. Anti-large, armor piercing, good against pretty much all the Norscan monsters, and yeah, we'll see how he does. We also do have a Plague Furnace, so the Plague Furnace is going to be dropping summons, and just in case Norsca does go with like a huge enveloping army and they're able to swarm your back line and you can't really stop them from getting on top of your guns, at that point it can devolve into a bit of a pit fight. So I figured the Plague Priest would be a good choice. It's got the little rats here on the back, they're always ready to go, but it does have a Plague Furnace effect, so it's pretty much just a Mortis engine. It's going to be doing AoE damage, he can summon more rats, who's going to complain? For my leadership, I do have Ikit Claw. He's going to be just going Limp Biscuit out here, rolling in the deep. Man, I think that's actually something. Isn't that like Adele or something? Like she has this hunger rolling in the deep. But anyways, Ikit Claw's on the Doom Wheel. He does cause terror. He has Warp Lightning, the Brass Orb. He's just kind of a menace, and he's pretty good against Norscan infantry. So we're going to be riding around there, and we'll see how it goes. So for my opponent's army, it's going to be Berserkers in the front, mixed in with a couple groups of Marauder Champions, it looks like. Champions are quite good against Skaven. They're shielded against Rattling Gunners. They have good combat stats. I honestly think Marauder Champions and Standard Marauders are just the way to go against Skaven. Berserkers, I always felt like they're a little bit overkill, because they're going to beat down pretty much all the Skaven infantry with the exception of Storm Vermin pretty aggressively, and I actually don't know how they would do against Storm Vermin. I mean, they do lack the AP, but their stats are pretty insane, so something to think about. We do also have two groups of Norscan Warhounds for my opponent here. On the far side, there's going to be some Maws of Savagery, which is my nickname for Wookiee now. Norscan Warhounds here, and I believe in the forest he does have another group of Hounds. It's going to be Skinwolves with armor, and I think there's some doggies accompanying them. No, it's actually going to be Fido himself. It's going to be the Skinwolf Furkin, and this guy's pretty good against Skaven. He's fast, he's furious, he has anti-large, he has armor piercing, pretty good against Rat Ogres. He does, you know, suffer against a fire damage, so I guess if you have some like warp fire throwers or something, but even still, that wouldn't be that good. But yeah, the Werekin is actually a pretty strong unit. It was a unit that was nerfed very heavily in Warhammer 1, but I still think it has some pretty good applications here, because I don't have any like, you know, artillery or zap cannons or anything like that. So on that note, guys, let's get this show on the road and see how this battle goes. The Norscan Horde is going to be advancing here as I adjust my chair forward a little bit. Always, you know, when I start casting, you always got to find that like comfortable spot in the chair before you get going. And now we're into it. We're good to go. So Throg is going to be chasing me off. Of course, I do not want Ikit to be fighting Throg. Throg has anti-large, he has armor piercing, he does also have frostbite, so that's going to be a pretty bad time if Ikit Claw does get caught. In the meantime, he's going to be swooping around the flanks with the Maws of Savagery, and I think the other Skinwolves, I wasn't aware of them at this point, so I didn't really know there was going to be pressure over here. They're going to be swooping out of the forest and maybe trying to get some freebies on my Clan Rats, because Obviously, that's a pretty substantial mismatch. So the frontline fighting is going to be underway here. I'm going to be scooting up the Teeth Breakers, these rats. I don't have the best line of sight, and Rattling Gunners are one of those units that are heavily affected by line of sight. But nonetheless, the rats are going to be able to just tee into these Berserkers doing huge damage. And I was like, you know what, let's get some freebies here. Let's charge in. I think we're going to be able to outmaneuver Throg. He has 56 speed to my 72, so I charge in there, get a couple kills, it looks like. That looks like we do take out 2 Berserkers right there, dropping Warp Lightning in the back as well. And the main fight is pretty much underway. Now, a little bit sloppy with the pullout here, that's what she said. And Ikit Claw is going to get caught by Throg and take a couple free blows. That's a little bit unfortunate. He's also going to be trying to overload my clan rats here with some hounds. So the hounds are going to come in, soften these guys up, and the Berserkers get there. It's going to be a very easy fight. So he pulls back, pretty cool stuff. I get some damage on him as well, so it's not a complete loss. Now on the far side, you can see some of the dogs are trying to sneak around, but I do have Rat Ogres, a Hell Pit, as well as Skaven Slaves with spears. So I should be able to kind of screen these guys out and keep those guns firing. Now, just trying to run from Throg in the front line, not a lot of fun. The Berserkers did take quite a bit of damage. The other group of Rattling Guns is having trouble finding a good target. I basically have been on the run the entire time as Norsca Warhounds and his other troops have just been pressuring very aggressively. And you can see here the Plague Priest is going to be rushing in and trying to fill this gap because the Hounds are coming around the back, and in the front line I'm collapsing. So very tough situation. Collapse here in the front and a lot of pressure coming in the back here. The front line I maybe over allocated a little bit, but I believe one of these was a summon, so it's not like I sent 2 troops over there. The Storm Vermin here are doing a very good job just beating back these Norsca Warhounds. So from there they should be able to fall back and maybe help with this position. But this is going to be a big collapse for my opponent. So the Rat Ogres are going to detach from the other flank. They're going to attack here, and I'm going to be trying to get my Rattling Gunners through, so I am just barely able to get away there. The Rat Ogres are able to intercept the champions, and I am able to get the Skaven Slaves and all these other troops over here to kind of block up this huge Norscan charge. So thankfully these Rattling Guns are still in line, and the other one is getting some pretty good shots here. The Teeth Breakers are just shooting into the Maws of Savagery. They've killed the model, they're doing a ton of HP damage, so quite happy with that situation. In the meantime, Ikit Claw is just going to be trying to clean up these Berserkers here, because obviously they're going to be attacking the Rattling Guns, and I do not want any of that business. So they are a little bit suppressed here. I believe they're getting hit, so you can see their speed is 24. So at this point, we're going to be popping the concealment bombs and trying to sneak away here, just being sneaky stealth little rats, and having a good time. So Throg is going to be hunting me as well, and Throg, of course, like I said, does have Frostbite, anti-large, and this is a little bit unfortunate. So the Teeth Breakers are going to get caught by a bunch of Berserkers. I mean, he's just being very aggressive, and he does also have this Amir Balefiend with fire who's just going to be chasing me, and I don't really have the resources to kind of chase him off here. Hellpit Abomination's a little bit out of position here to help in this fight, so I'm going to be trying to get Ikit Claw to help out, but you can see as soon as those angry Berserkers make contact, it's going to be brutal damage, and the Teeth Breakers are going to be getting put in a trash can, and Ikit Claw is not going to be able to save them. So Bounce Fire is pretty much dead even, a very, very close fight. Some massive Last Samurai action coming in as these Skin Wolves do charge in. Rattling Gunners, of course, have pretty good AP, and I try and time a Warp Lightning as well, but they started sprinting at the last second there, so it's a little bit off. And I am able to take out quite a few of those Skin Wolves, and some Summon Clan Rats from the Plague Priest are going to be jumping in to try and block those guys up. And if I can keep these Rattling Guns alive as the late game kind of progresses, it's going to be super important because I don't have a lot of great tools aside from the Hellpit Abomination for killing Throg, the Werekin, as well as the Amir Balefiend. So over here in the back, we're going to be taking out the Javelins. Ikit Claw very beat up from being chased by Throg the entire game. The Brass Orb is going to be going down, and we do terrify those guys. Skin Wolf Werekin, anti-large, armor piercing. He's going to be jumping on the Plague Priest. He'll easily pierce that 90 armor. And you can see here, Ikit Claw with the zap. Ikit Claw actually zaps that Skin Wolf Werekin off the furnace, allowing it to escape, and the infantry fight has certainly gone in our favor. The Berserkers are having a lot of trouble versus the furnace and just the attrition and the numbers of the Skaven, and the Storm Vermin are just doing an outstanding job. These guys have been fighting all day. They've beaten down the Berserkers. They beat down several groups of wolves, of the Norscan Warhounds, I guess I should say. And yeah, you can see a little bit of trouble here for the Berserkers, so quite happy with the performance of the standard Storm Vermin here in this matchup. And here in the main fight, Throg actually gets terrified. So Throg causes fear, but he doesn't cause terror, and he's not immune to psychology. Trolls, of course, not the sharpest tool in the shed, so the Hellpit Abomination is able to get a really nice terror route right there. So we're going to be trying to chase him, but he is going to come out of the terror route here in a second, and of course he's going to turn around and of course be a substantial menace. I mean, yes, the Hellpit is a very good fight for him, but Throg is going to be able to give it right back. So Ikit Claw, in the meantime, I'm going to be trying to break off his caster. I obviously don't want to get Ikit in the main fight because 1 or 2 swings from Throg could easily just pound town Ikit and send him into the Shadow Realm, something I don't want. And there's still a lot of big Norscan threats, even though the battle looks pretty good for me. I've taken out a lot of his guys. Rattling Guns are just mowing down these filthy werewolves right here, doing a great job. There's not too many Norscan threats on the periphery. It looks like some Skin Wolves did come back from rallying here. I have some Rat Ogres coming back as well. So hopefully both of us will remember to get those guys back. A fat Warp Lightning is going to be going down and zapping these Barbarians right here. And a nice little shot right there into the back of the Champions, melting and leaving a nice crater. The Marauder Champions are a very good unit. 163 kills in these guys. I'm pretty sure they outperformed, pretty much all the Berserkers this game. I mean, and they're still fighting, which is truly a testament to their durability. I think that Marauder Champions are one of the better units on the roster. So right here you can see there's, well, the shielded variant, I should say, not the Great Weapons. So the Burning Skull is going to be going through here, roasting a bunch of Clan Rats. Nice cast from my opponent here. The Bounce Fire is still dead even, maybe a little bit in his his favor. Icky Claw is trying to find that fight, and these Storm Vermin and Clan Rats are trying to wear down the Familiar Balefiend, but it's a slow, grindy fight, and the Helped Abomination has just been in mortal combat with Throg. It hasn't been able to really just do lethal damage, and Throg and the Skinwolf Werekin are going to be jumping on the Furnace, so a little bit of a misplay, maybe leaving that there, but I wanted the high mass units to actually pin in Throg and allow the Helped to kind of just tank and spank him, but alas, it looks like the Plague Priest is going to be going down. A little bit of friendly fire from the Rattling Gunners is going to be sending it into its grave right here, which is pretty funny. Now in the back, this is huge. I've got the Rattling Gunners back online, which is going to be nice. They have about 50% of their ammunition. So basically, I'm just going to be securing this. I have the Rat Ogres here defending. I also have the Skaven Slaves with spears. We're just going to be trying to form a Helm's Deep, secure this whole part of the battlefield here in the back, at which point I can pull the Helped Abomination back away from this fight, and anything he wants to advance on me is going to be taking substantial fire here from the Rattling Guns. But the bounce fire going further in his favor as the Skinwolf Werekin is hunting me down, so I'm trying to juke him out here, trying to get away with the Helped Abomination. I'm going to be sending in the Rat Ogres because, of course, this thing heals itself, so the more I can sit and heal, the longer I can kind of delay this final fight, the better. Granted, the same thing goes for him. Throg is healing, the Skinwolf Werekin is healing, so there's a bunch of regeneration on both sides, which is going to be quite tough. In the center pocket, the Storm Vermin are able to hold and actually break the Warhounds, the Champions, and also beat back the Moths of Savagery, which with a little bit of supporting fire from the Rattling Guns. And over here, you can see the Rat Ogres are going to be coming back in. So the final battle is almost here. Bounce of power a little bit in my opponent's favor, actually pretty substantially. So it's looking to be a tough fight. He doesn't have a lot in the way of actual troops. He has a couple javelins here, some warhounds, but really it's just kind of hero hammer, as they say. So he does, of course, have the Skinwolf Werekin. He has Throg up on the high ground. He has the Balefiend. So we're going to be getting some fat Overwatch fire coming in as the Rattling Gunners shoot. Looks like they might be running a little bit low on ammo, or maybe I canceled the attack order here. But Throg's going to be coming in. He does send the Skinwolf Werekin into the Storm Vermin, which is going to be good because they can't really shoot him there. But like I said, Rattling Guns aren't the best at shooting things that are number one fighting, or number two have line of sight issues. So the Rattling Gun's going to be trying to shoot at Throg here, but I do realize in just a moment that the Familiar Balefiend is probably the better target. Some of the Skaven Slaves are going to be jumping in to help out because the Helped Abomination really needs to win this fight. But Throg gets a huge club. Man, that looked like it was like 700-800 damage. I mean, it's not possible, of course, but I guess he has Fight or Die and a couple other things pops. But the Helped Abomination just getting crumped on by Throg. Beautiful stuff here. The Storm Vermin are going to be fighting pretty hard, and the Rattling Guns are going to be picking off the Familiar Balefiend with fire. Of course, there could be another fireball, there could be a cascading fire cloak, and these are things, especially the fireballs, that could be super destructive against the Helped Abomination. Now, a great change down here, you can see that Throg is actually shaken and terrified, so he's going to be terrified by the Helped Abomination, which is just going to punt that last werewolf. The Moths of Savagery try and charge in, but the Helped Abomination does have some chaff supporting it on the ground. So there's Skaven Slaves, there's Storm Vermin, so he's not going to get surrounded super easily. Oh, and vengeance is finally his. He's just giving the business to Throg here. Throg is in a little bit of trouble. The steel chair coming out here in the fourth quarter, and Throg is certainly going to be breaking with 720 HP. And now at this point, Icky Claw, the cackling man himself, is going to be coming over here with his maniacal cackle. Oh, and look at that! The Rattling Gun's about to be attacked there, but Icky Claw zaps him with his Doom Wheel. And now we're just getting massive firepower coming in just point blank here from the Rattling Guns. We're also going to be sending in the Rat Ogres to attack this guy, which is going to be pretty great. And you can see here, Throg is going to be running, and it looks like the Doom Wheel is going to be able to easily chase him off the battlefield. So Icky Claw getting the last laugh after being beaten down this entire game by Throg. He's going to be chasing him off the edge of the map, and probably not going to be able to kill him, but at the very least, we should be able to shatter him there. So up on the high ground, the Familiar Balefiend, who did take quite a bit of damage from the Rattling Guns, is going to be getting attacked by the Storm Vermin as well as the Rat Ogres here, and you can see we're actually breaking them, because the Rat Ogres do have pretty good AP, plus these Storm Vermin, just a bunch of armored bodies that are going to be very tough for him to kill. On the low ground now, we have the last threat here. This is the last threat here to Gotham. It's going to be the Skinwolf Werekin, and yeah, he's doing a number on the Helped Abomination. But remember, guys, the Helped Abomination always has a trick in the back pocket, which is too horrible to die. So if they get a little bit lower, I think the proc is, let's go, that's what the % is. Is it too horrible to die? Yes, it is. And it is hit points greater than 10%. So if he gets us below 10%, which we're certainly getting to that threshold, he could potentially heal up. And there it is. The massive heal coming in puts us up to 3,367. Awesome stuff here from the Helped Abomination, and from here he should be able to finish off the Werekin. It's only a matter of time, and over here in the distance you can see Throg Daddy is going to be chasing off, or getting chased off, I should say, by Icky Claw, the Mad Adventure of Clan Scryer. 723 HP. Throg is actually pretty close to death here. 322, 274. Doom Wheel is, has a little bit of a melee prowess as well. So back in the main fight, let's go ahead and go to this heavyweight match yet again. I do have some Rat Ogres coming in here, and you can see with that, the Werewolf is going to be breaking, and that's going to be all she wrote for my opponent. So well played. That was a really tense game, and the game was actually really laggy, so it felt like it was like a 25-minute game when we were playing, but it was a good game. He played very well. It was very close. Could have gone either way. You guys saw the bounce power was just ebbing and flowing. There was a couple attacks against the Helped Abomination, and my attacks versus Throg, and just minor things like that that really could have changed the dynamic of the game. When he got the Teethbreakers, it was a little bit scary for sure. He had a very good Zerg there with the Norsca Warhounds and the Skinwolves. I mean, that's 5 backline pressure units plus a couple high mass monsters that can push through. It was certainly tough to defend with just my 2 Rat Ogres and the Helped Abomination. I was very stretched very thin, I should say. But yeah, it was a good game for sure. I like the build. I'm trying to think about my opinion of these guys versus Giselles. They were pretty good. The suppression was nice. They were able to get some really good damage. I felt like they were a little bit more durable, although I don't know if that's the case, like in actuality, right? If they're actually more durable in terms of stats or armor or things like that. But I did like having the slow. The Rattling Gunners were pretty solid. They were able to get some good damage initially. In the late game, they came through and had a lot of punch. I still think the Natty Bubo Sharpshooter might be a bit of a better pick. And even against Norsca, I'm thinking that maybe just going with like a Death Star, right? Just getting like this army plus a second Hell Pit Abomination and just like more heavy hitting troops, like just to push through. Because it is very tough to defend your backline against Norsca. It always feels like you're kind of on the back foot a little bit. So I'm starting to think that maybe just going for just like an aggressive Death Star. Maybe we'll take a look at a build like that. We'll do that right now. But yeah, like a Skaven Death Star. So I think in a true Death Star, Skrulk is going to be the better choice. The Blades is really good, and you could also just saturate with summons, which is always going to be super effective here. So we have the Rod of Corruption. You also want to get an Assassin. I think this would be just a little bit more effective than having to protect your guns, and Skaven Death Stars are quite strong. Trophy Heads is going to be really strong here, of course. And from here, we can get the Council Guard. We can even get the Plague Pack to get that immune to Psych, which is going to be super good. We probably still want a couple Skaven Slaves in the front line just to take a beating for the Horn Rat. We do want a Plague Caster, of course, for the Mortis Engine effect. And for him, you can bring him just with a couple summons on him, just in case Skrulk runs out and you still have wins in the late game. It's going to be quite nice. But now we're going to be going for a double Hell Pit, which is going to be really expensive. So we need to get some decent troop quality. Oh, man, it's maybe I think we just got a couple Skaven Slaves. It's not going to give us too much, but so from here, we have the Furnace. It's relatively elite. We could go with a couple Armored Stormvermin, but we can't really even afford the two of them. So yeah, having those would be good. Plague Monks, I feel like are going to get cut up a little bit too quick. Man, this is an elite army. The Council Guard would be pretty good for like making sure Skrulk can't get sniped. I mean, I guess you could cut the Assassin. Yeah, I think that's probably the direction to go. And then from here, just get a couple more like chaff units to kind of defend. It's a pretty elite army, but I feel like it'd be good. I mean, Immune to Psych, Anti-Large, Hell Pits are really strong. You have the summons, you have, Libra Bubonicus, you have so many good effects. So again, well played to my opponent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this game, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.